Feel uncomfortable. Lovely to see you. Let's just let everybody in right now. I think I managed to post the link at the right. It's so confusing and stressful at that moment. Here we go. And let's go on to gallery view so I can see you all properly. Hello. And Zamana, I'm going to do the usual if that's all right. Thank you. So just in case anyone's arriving. All right. So there's cream tea and scones apparently waiting for me somewhere. So I haven't had my lunch. So I think we'll press on with looking at a few things. So the first thing really is just to play you a little bit of, and it was good, wasn't it, that I remembered to share the sound several seconds into the video. You'd think I'd have learnt by now, honestly. So here's a little bit of this disc, which is Owen Rees's latest third volume. You know Owen's a friend of mine, but he hasn't paid me to say any of this. But I really like this disc. I'll just play you the last section of this Portio Mea. This is by Robert White, who is a composer I absolutely love. And I've got the score somewhere. I'll try and whiz that up for you. I think the sound's really good. It's very English, very Oxbridge, but of its kind is absolutely superb. So here's a bit of Robert White. That's fantastic, isn't it? Those false relations at the end just make you tingle. So I really enjoyed that. You can hear it's very clean and a little bit sedate. But I think actually this is a great achievement because the Baldwin Park books, which are very famous, and everyone just goes, yes, the Baldwin Park books in Christchurch, Oxford. Turns out that about a third of it's never been recorded by anybody. So I think about half of this disc is premiere, which is pretty astonishing given that we're talking about Parsons, Mundy, Damon, and White. I mean, you just sort of assume that they've all been done, but they haven't. So I recommend that to you. It's the third of their discs. Now, then the other thing was, while I was planning my music lists, I started to think about Hildegard actually a lot, because I wanted to have a piece which people who haven't sung very much for a while can just sort of meld into and find their voice and feel okay about. So in the usual Spotify list, which I've updated today, which I hope you follow, today's editions include some tracks there, 74, 75 from the Reese disc, and then a few versions of Hildegard's O Virtus Sapientiae. And actually, I think many of you will know this style of doing it. Which is fabulous, and I leave you to enjoy that. But listen to this. This is the Kronos Quartet. Just a little of this. Okay, so I'll leave you to explore. It's that second degree that's just a semitone over the E, so it's that F natural E that gives you the squeeze each time. And then, of course, in my quests, so I was thinking about how to treat this piece, because there's a lot of flexibility. And of course, Hildegard has become not only very important to a feminist history of music, but also to folk musicians and rock musicians, because her music invites contemporary spiritual responses, but is also very plastic, so you can play about with it. Now, this lady I'd heard of before because she's an overtone singer, and her internet fame is that she can sing two parts at once. So you can follow the link in the description to the Facebook talk and find her. But here she is, and I hope this video works. I've realised my computer's being very spotty at the moment. Let's just see if we get a bit. So it starts, she's got a sitar player and an electronic tweaker of, so he's manipulating the sound. So it starts in a very conventional way. Let's see if this will play. If it won't, I'll... Okay, we're getting something. Yeah, I thought that might happen. What I'm going to do is reload this page, because what I do before each talk, of course, is open all the videos to avoid all the adverts. And I think that gradually, like Peloton or Grammarly, so excuse this advert now, but I think the computer, in sitting on all these paused videos, becomes a bit agitated. So let's just sweat it up with Peloton and let's see if we can get this to play. Okay, so... and then I'll jump it. Yeah, so that seems to be playing now. I'll jump it on because it gets quite funky. At the beginning, it's mood music, really. Whoa. You going to be kind? Yes. Okay, let's see what happens a little bit later on. There you are. Now, you might have found that really dislikable or a bit shocking. I don't know what Hildegard would have said about it. But there's a fusion, isn't there? So there's the Indian instrument and there's the electronics which are going on. And there's the manner in which she sings it, which isn't an early music manner. And then there's the overall production and the rather nauseating camera work. But it comes back to what we said earlier. Firstly, about the music linking across with folk and rock, and about the body being involved and about it being contemporary. So it's moving Hildegard out of its frame of being medieval, monastic, pious and beautiful and like a jewel. It is wonderful and glorious like that. And at that, our imaginations go to the music and we meet it in what we imagine to be that context. But here, it's pushed into our present. And to some extent, if you find that difficult, and I can't say I'm instantly loving it, but I'm very intrigued and I would be fascinated to hear that live, then you have to distinguish whether that's a matter of taste for you or whether actually it's a moral question in which you've become slightly activated. And if you have become activated about that, then it's just worth stopping for a moment and thinking, what is it about this that offends or transgresses? And if it's really that the notes aren't being respected, then it's worth interrogating why that is. And that's probably to do with your embedded musical education, which has taught you to honour the notes on the page and not to interfere with them, which was the whole point of today's talk, really. So I really wanted to show you that. The last couple of really quick ones, because there's scones calling my name, or scones, depending on where we live. This is lovely. I just encountered this the other day. The Gesualdo 6 in a car park, well, 3 of them. Owain Park changes its name to Car here, we can see. And they just sing a little bit of a chanson by Compère, Lucette Compère, called Venez Regret, Come Regrets, and they're in the Westgate Centre in Oxford. This didn't get great reviews as a shopping centre, but I think they found the sweet spot. I think it's really rather lovely. And it shows how contemporary groups have to promote themselves to some extent, which is by these sort of backstage moments where social media just catches you. It's now, I think, the thing the audience loves and expects, which is to meet the performers on their travels in unexpected places. And it doesn't have that crushing fun aspect of a sort of, when people sort of dive bomb into a space like a station and they all start singing the Sound of Music at people. I find that really makes me cringe, but I don't mind if there's nobody there and they're just doing what's it called, a flash mob. That's it. Yeah, I mean, I do love the one in Antwerp station where they do I think it's the Sound of Music, and that makes me cry, but I'm getting old. The last thing I want to show you is a little trailer. Now, again, I'm not paid for this. I just found it getting ready for this. I'm a big fan of Joglareza, or as I think my colleague at Bristol, I was telling on the phone that they were coming, and she just kept repeating back, chocolate raisins. Chocolate raisins. And I said, no, Joglareza. It was a bad line. I was on a train. Anyway, you may know that Belinda Sykes, who's a remarkable musician, had cancer, and she really didn't expect to be around now, but she's still here, still singing and playing and being creative. And they've made a concert which I didn't know about. You can buy for £8 through this link on the YouTube link. But I think they're great because they used graphics and costumes, and they're not afraid of looking silly, and they move their bodies. So I think they're a great conclusion really to this week's Random Rumblings. So here's a bit of this. Boogie Nights is a great name for a concert as well. So they often do very funny and interesting things, and I think they're really underrated. Somehow they never quite broke through. I think I've told you before about the concert I went to where people danced down the aisles to them, and it was of all the early music concerts I ever reviewed, it was the closest to a folk gig, and they were absolutely on the cusp, and you can hear it in the pitch bending and the way they look and move. And this is where I came in from, folk music, and so I think is partly why I'm obsessed about this linkage, and also I worry about the static, solemn dignity that we give to music sometimes, while of course being a huge defender of it. I'd go and punch someone on the nose if they talked over Joscan. So you see, I'm just working it all through with you. It's like therapy, really. Anyway, it's so nice to see you. I think I better stop and go and find my cream cake. Thank you for coming. It's lovely to see you. And I'm going to buy a ticket to that Jogla Reza thing, and perhaps you might too. All right. Say hello if you want. Thank you. See you soon. Bye bye. Bye bye. Thanks for coming.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.